Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Rita Young, and I am here today with Scott Carroll, who is a behavior analyst. We're going to be talking about how to support individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities who happen to have challenging behaviors. And so before we get started, just to let you know a little bit about me, and then I'll let Scott give us some background. And if you're out there, please say hello. We'd love to know who's out there. And then also just to let you know, I'm streaming in my Facebook group and then also the very first time on YouTube. So I'm very excited about tonight. So I figured out how to do that. So we'll see. So bear with me, my new folks. My name is Rita Young. I am a parent advocate. I'm also a parent of 2 adults on the autism spectrum. I'm a private consultant, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I've been hosting conversations since COVID started, and I'm very interested in supporting families who have teens and young adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And one of the topics that I think that is so critical and that's not very often discussed is how we support individuals with challenging behavior. And so I'm here tonight with Scott Carroll, who is a behavior analyst. Now, Scott is generously donating his time. He wants folks to know that he's not here for marketing purposes or to gain any new clients because he's at capacity, right, Scott? Is that correct? Yes.
Okay.
However, if I can also post his email address, he's generously offered if you have individual questions that he perhaps might be able to help via email. So one of the things when I asked Scott about doing this interview is he said, I really want to help families. I just want to help families. And so I wanted to, take him up on his offer. And if you have a question, leave it in the chat box. And if you don't have a question, I have some ready here. So no worries about that. Some folks have sent them to me already. But so Scott, to get us going, just tell us a little bit about your background, and the baby Yoda in the back.
The Yoda, yeah. Now, I've got my bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's degree in psychology with emphasis on behavior analysis. And I've been doing this since 1976, being a behavior specialist, behavior analyst. I've worked with a ton of people that are just so well thought of in the field. Brian Iwata, Richard Fox, all those people, Judy Favell. And nothing I have is original. I've been able to learn from all these fantastic people that I was able to surround myself with. And Yoda was a gift. When I left California, the staff got together and gave it to me saying, we're losing our Yoda. I laughed because I said, I think it's more that I dress like Yoda than act like Yoda. But
well, it's a great touch. He's looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, keep it tight.
That's right. And so you've worked with primarily you focus on teens and adults, correct?
Yes.
With IDD. Okay. So we just want folks to know. And again, if you're just joining, we're here with Scott Carroll, who is a behavior analyst. And so I think I'm just going to dive right in, Scott. And I'm trying this as an experiment, a pilot, whatever you want to call it, streaming on YouTube as well. But one of the big issues that we can't run away from right now is COVID. So a lot of our teens, young adults are isolated as it is, and now with COVID are even more isolated. So in the community, have you seen anything out there that's been creative in helping folks stay connected?
Yeah, this is a terrible time. I mean, not just because of the pandemic, but what it's done to our people in their homes that have been used to going here and there and interacting with the community, and all of a sudden that's just shut down. And for the last several months, they've been left with the creativity of mom and dad and staff and others to try to come up with something that basically fills their time during the day constructively. And some of the things that happen, they have drive-bys, where group homes or families in the same area, they'll arrange a drive-by where they drive by and they all wave. And, so they schedule those. And how you doing? They're out in the yard, you're in your car, and they say hello and laugh. And then, of course, there's a constant tent building and in the home, where you take blankets and other stuff and build a tent for that night. And, and then just a ton of stuff. But the basic thing that's getting us through this is the interaction. I mean, the families all being in there together, they've all gotten creative. And what I've seen is a lot of reinforcement for individuals who live in their own homes with their parents. While it's tough on everybody, it's like the family gets stronger. And you wouldn't
I
think
love
that.
to hear that. That's great.
They get stronger because they're just, they know there's nothing they can do about it. They know that it's not their fault. They know it's not the state's fault. It's this horrible virus. So creativity with what to do with pots and pans and canned foods and things of that nature is just remarkable. And email me, I'll get you more examples because there's just a ton of them. But
so things like online fitness classes and some kind of class online to take.
And visiting where you can. I mean,
visiting,
there you can go through drive-throughs and, go out in the backyard, have a picnic. If you go to a park, and social distance and feel safe, then you get food, you go to the park and eat, and there's walking and exercise. So fortunately, the weather up till now has been helping out quite a bit, but just get out there.
Yeah, get out there. And you love the outdoors as well. Yeah. So I've got someone, Sandra Rice says hello to you, Scott. She's saying
hello,
hi. She's saying hi. All right. So COVID aside, then, a lot of times, and I know this from experience too, mothers, when we talk about challenging behaviors, supporting our individuals, sometimes mothers bear the brunt of kind of the big feelings and frustrated feelings that our teens and adults it may exhibit. So do you find that is to be the case?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. You want me to speak to that for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely, if you could.
Yeah, I have some theories that are pretty out there, but it's like mom is the go-to person. Whether you have a developmental disability or not, she's the one that you go to. Now, they might say, well, your father, will decide this, will decide that, but still mom's attention that people want, and they are very creative at how to get attention. If you're busy doing something and they want attention, and you can't stop, sometimes you just might say no and, be sort of stern because they're interrupted and they know not to interrupt you in the kitchen or whatever it is. But if you take the time, without saying no and give a little bit of attention and then say, okay, I'll be with you in 15 minutes and we'll talk. As soon as I get this done, we'll go in there, we'll do this. You have less likelihood of them escalating, saying, well, if that won't get your attention, how about this? How about this or this or this?
Mm-hmm.
How about if I knock this over? How about if I break that? You'll have to come talk to me. People say, well, that's ridiculous because we might talk to them in a stern manner. You can't tell me somebody found that reinforcing. What I'm telling you is they find your presence reinforcing. Whatever they can do to get mom around them, even if it has to misbehave, they can do that. I'm not saying they do that in all situations because there's, behaviors and triggers out there that it's not mom. And I guess that's what I see and what I try to tell mothers that I work with. I've got a bunch. It's not your fault. This is an issue. You're in teens. We have puberty hitting in and all sorts of weird stuff happening with your body and with your mind. And that's going to be compounded because mom is the one.
Right.
And unfortunately, in our case, not everywhere, but there are a lot of single home moms that moms are doing everything with, maybe even a grandmother. So mom's nurturing, mom's fun, mom's good to be around. So if I have to break a few things to get her to come in and talk to me, so be it.
All right. Oh, Inez says hello, Scott. Inez Cannon. I don't know if you know Inez, but she's wonderful. Yes. Yeah. So we are on live, by the way. This is not taped. Moms bear the brunt and we shouldn't take it personally, even though it is so hard not to take it personally. But that's the worst thing we can do, right?
Absolutely. Don't personalize it at all. The person owns their behavior. It's up to us to try to manipulate what happens before the behavior and after the behavior to have an impact on it. No one can change behavior. If we could, we'd all be gazillionaires.
Right.
You
Yeah.
have to work with the environment. You have to work with any issues that come up, and your God-given positive attitude that will eventually rub off. So
Yes, yes, that's so important to have that right attitude, and that can be very difficult when you haven't slept or you're dealing with multiple issues and, like you said, property destruction, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, so that's good, good, good. Um, so a lot of times when we're looking at behavioral issues, there we look at triggers. You just mentioned triggers and possibly some other causes.
mhm.
So because we are quick to think it might be something this, but it's not, it's something else. So let's just take, for example, a medical issue. When you are working with families, that's one of the things that you want to rule out first, correct?
Correct.
And
Correct.
if it is there a situation that you can recall where there was a medical issue going on and people thought it was challenging behavior, but it was really a medical issue?
Absolutely. There's several of them. A couple of them that come to mind right off the bat has to do with self-injurious behavior, somebody hitting their head, hitting the side of their face, hitting themselves, and they don't have the communication skills to be able to say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking. And, nobody knows. Well, the first thing that we did as a team with me on the team was say, let's get him looked at. Let's see what's going on. And they looked at me like I was, had three eyes, because I said, let's get his teeth checked. And sure enough, he had 6 abscessed teeth, and the dentist didn't know how he'd survive without that. So hitting yourself and hitting yourself in your head. And so they fixed those. And about 2 months later, we broke the routine that he had gotten in of hitting his head and it's stopping pain and saying, okay, let's watch for other things. So it got to be that whenever he would do that, sure enough, something was up. And then they couldn't control the headaches or monitor the headaches. So they just started assuming that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he had a headache.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor gave him over the counter, ibuprofen. They gave him 2 ibuprofen at 3 o'clock, make sure he's hydrated. And it all went away. Unfortunately, they don't need me anymore.
Wow, wow.
There's actually another one where a hearing impaired young lady, and she talked, but with the guarded what you have when you're hearing impaired. And she was all the time just irritable and mean and just out of sorts all the time. We got her checked, and one of the things we got her done, we sent her to an ENT, and they found out there had been tubes put in her ears many, many years before that, and scar tissue on top of scar tissue had built over top of that. They removed that, and it took a while, but her speech improved. She was able to hear, pass the hearing test, and the pain and discomfort was gone. She turned into a pleasant young lady. Now, these are
Wow.
the grand ones. There's some that are more minor, but you really need to rule out the physical before you deal with anything behaviorally. And that can be the physical, they're on medications, is something else, responsible for this behavior other than in the environment or other than mom or dad or staff. They could just be feeling bad. All medications have side effects. And some people are not capable of saying, I feel nauseous today. I'm real dizzy. Man, I got a headache. My stomach hurts. I've got diarrhea. They can't tell you that unless it becomes exaggerated. You don't pick up on it. So sometimes you have to really watch the facial contortions to see if something's out of sorts and get that checked through thoroughly.
So it's really slowing down and taking a look at the individual holistically. Yes,
Right.
starting with the physical. I just want to shout out to Debbie, who is here. Hi, Debbie. Thanks for joining us. Those are some really great stories. And what about you? You mentioned environmental issues. Have you ever worked with an individual where there was something in the environment that was disturbing them or bothering them, and they weren't able to communicate that?
Oh, absolutely. The classic one are loud noises, and an environment that is just so hectic. And so, somebody come home, they'd crank up the music and do whatever, and there's all this stuff going on, and he was just out of sorts the whole afternoon and doing that and engaging in simple maladaptive behaviors, not anything real intrusive, but really upset was the way it was said, and had an emotional outburst about 3 times a week during this fragment of time. When we started collecting data, we saw there was a segment, this run of time between 3 and 7 at night. So we calmed things down. We just came up with a pilot study that says, let's calm things down. Let's cut off overhead lights and use warm lighting around the room. And this lady actually put halogen lightings in, which is a warmer, better lighting. The school systems in Fremont, California converted all their overhead lamps to halogen, and the number of seizures and behavior problems dropped significantly. So looking at the lighting in your house, the lighting in the room, airflow, it's all so vital that the environment. Noise, though, is the number one. And I like it when I saw there was a gentleman with autism that was near us watching fireworks, and his mother just eased up behind him and put on noise cancellation earphones. So at the boom, it wasn't any startling. He was watching the fireworks, but not getting upset because of the loud explosions. So there's all sorts of creative ways to look at the environment. Sometimes the way the furniture is arranged, look at how people relax and how they talk to it. You can set the occasion for them to have to interact or want to interact or be part of it. This is my chair. This is my chair. I like this, and they get comfortable. So those are just some ideas. There's a million of them. I know we don't have time tonight, but.
Well, we can, again, hopefully have other conversations as well, but I think it's been very helpful. Again, you're advocating for slowing down, taking a look at the person, the environment, who they interact with, for possible triggers, etc.
Right.
Yeah. So is there, and in the first interview we did, I think you talked about this, Scott, but what would be your number one piece of advice for individuals, for family members, that are trying to support an individual with intellectual developmental disability with challenging behaviors? What would be the one thing that stands out? Because I know you're a behavior analyst, and so it is very involved, the work that you do. But what stands out? What can really help families?
It's one word: kindness. Kindness, being kind. And that leads to bonding, and bonding leads to building a relationship that somebody's going to respond to positively. So I preach that every time I get a chance. So just be kind. You can correct somebody, but you can be kind in the way you did it, looking at the tone of your voice, the volume of your voice, the cadence of your voice, so that you're, using animation to get something across. It's just amazing. But kindness, my wife has ordered me a sweatshirt that has "kindness is magic" on it. So if everybody sees me, you'll see me wearing that thing. You might ask once in a while if I've ever washed it, but maybe I'll buy 2. But kindness leads to bonding, and bonding leads to magic, which is people getting better.
And so for the direct staff that you work with too, Scott, I mean, some of this is very challenging behavior, and it's challenging to work in and day out. What do you say to those folks? Yes, we say kindness, of course. That's the first place to start. But what else? How can we support our folks that work with individuals with IDD and challenging behavior?
I think having some downtime with them and hanging out or listening and talking about it, and have them use a little bit of humor. Boy, yesterday, they're gone. You could listen to that, and people in this field, they say they use burnout, but I think that the burnout is hurt when people don't like where they're working or what they're doing. And there's so many ways to make that better, just positive. I'm always telling people, there was one earplug.
I can hear you.
Yeah. I'm always telling people, I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate it. They might not be doing a fantastic job, but they're doing the job and they're trying. And so reinforcing that in your staff, taking a moment to point that out. I hope that if you talk to a lot of the staff I'm with now, they'll say Scott is kind, and he's always finding something positive to say to us, because I'm trying to model it, because they're out there 8, 9, 10 hours a day, some 12 hours a day. And they have some people that are very, very involved. I've been fortunate to be able to take a whole lot of people that have extremely hard, challenging behaviors. They're some of the top people in the state that on the list to watch. And it's a challenge, and I love to do that. But the staff, if you can reinforce them, I have a guy down in Warner Robins that owns a Chick-fil-A, and he's always giving me these things for a free Chick-fil-A sandwich. And I hand those out all the time to staff. And I wish it could be $1 million, but you're doing a great job. And now it's just laughing. How about a free chicken sandwich? Scott, I lost a tooth. I had myself scratched, and you're giving me a chicken sandwich?
Oh my gosh.
I don't have it.
So incentives, encouragement and incentives, and being there to listen to folks.
Being there to listen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Scott, is there anything, let's see, trying to see if there's anything else. Yeah, so it's always a pleasure to talk with you. Is there anything else that you want to say to families out there during this time?
Yeah, it's going to get better. I see it already getting better. And you're to be congratulated on what you've done during the COVID, where everybody's been quarantined or closed up within. And you don't have to have a disability to feel depressed and feel anxious, to feel stressed or, panicked during this time. You're worried about loved ones, you're worried about this, you're worried. And on top of that, you're in the house. Well, make fun of it. I didn't think I'd enjoy doing things through the computer at home, and I still sneak out and do face-to-face. But, it's sometimes pretty cool, to be able to just plug in, talk to staff. When I'm talking to individuals, I make it a point to go out and do that, because looking at me on a computer for 30 seconds is about all the attention span you get before they wonder why you're not doing something entertaining on that TV screen.
Right. Exactly.
Use tone, volume, and cadence with your voice. Be conscious of that,
And there's one other thing that I want to just jump back to, and that is the individuals that you work with that are very much have some very challenging and significant behaviors. We don't give up on those folks, right? I mean,
no.
Can we just, talk about that for a minute?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, behavior is energy, and the behavior belongs to him or her. Okay. And I've not seen a case where you couldn't shape it that energy into another direction, adaptive versus maladaptive. It takes time and it takes consistency. But the parents that I have seen do that, and not that I caused it to happen, but I certainly reinforced it. I saw it happen. And you've had a couple of people that have said hello tonight that could also serve as examples of how well they do that.
Right.
How well they it's just amazing, Rita, how positive things have gotten after the bottom fell out. So a lot of this I'm going to miss, when we do get wide open again, because it sort of calmed us down. Everybody didn't have to go to the Golden Corral twice a week, or they didn't have to go to McDonald's every day, and they didn't have to, do all this. They had to come up with creative things in the home or drive-bys and stuff like that. So my address is posted everywhere. So if you're going to do a drive-by at my house, just let me know, and I'll get a few people in the yard, and we'll wave and cheer and stuff like that. So those are pretty cool. And they take about 2 hours in the afternoon to go different places, and they trade off. So it's all about networking.
Absolutely.
So, a lot of parents out there, it'd be nice if they could network with others and say, we're too struggling with what to do, so let's do something together.
So Scott, I just wanted to just reiterate, never giving up, not giving up, that there's always hope out there. And I don't want to put you on the spot. If you want me to put your email address, I'm happy to post it. All right. So you would, what would you like me? Which Scott,
Scottw, Carroll, CARROLL @AOL.com.
Okay. I just posted that
Okay.
in the chat. So folks have that if they would like to reach out to you. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time
My
this
pleasure.
evening to talk with me. And I hope that we do this again.
I do too.
Yeah.
What you're doing is a good thing, bringing families together so they can talk candidly and get candid answers. So I think this will get better as it goes along.
I
So,
think so too. I think
thanks
so.
for the
Thank you.
invite.
Thank you. And thank you, Baby Yoda.
You got it.
Okay. All right. Take care, Scott.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.